So the last video dealt with creating a road by adding templates to the horizontal and vertical alignment to get a full 3D road, which is similar to the way a lot of access users have been creating roads for years. One of the issues with doing that these days is that road designs are becoming increasingly complex, especially in residential type projects, where you have lots of laybys, lots of chicanes, lots of unusual features like we can see in this project here. We've got chicanes, we've got laybys. Then it gets increasingly complex. So TBC has got some very good tools to deal with that. So we'll just go through by creating maybe the two roads here using some of the tools that TBC offers. So again, all we've got here is a horizontal alignment called Road 2. And I'm just going to go in here and say create corridor, and I'm just going to call this Road 2. And again, we're not going to deal with reference lines or surfaces just now. And what I'm going to do is start at chainage 0. So we'll just put in chainage 0. I'm not going to bother naming the template. And we can see here that we, again, go to node. We've got offset slopes here. I've turned on the CAD file of the 2D positions of the channels to show you the complexity of this road. So instead of me having to think about the offsets, what I can do is just basically select the option here, 2D line. And what I can do is select that we basically want the road width to be controlled by that CAD line. And then the slope distance, the slope, the grade of the road, we can basically manually control. And here what we're going to do is actually put that in as a table. So we can see here that we have the road in falling to the right up until chainage 24. We don't, and then we can see it falling to the left around chainage 34. So what we can do here is just put that into the table. So we can say the table from chainage 0, the slope is going to be minus 2.5. At chainage 24, it's going to be minus 2.5. And at chainage 34, it's going to be positive 2.5. We don't need to put anything in for the VC length there. And we're going to say this is channel right. And obviously I could continue and add my, so we'll add that in. We could continue and add the footpath if we wanted to. Don't be distracted by some of the things that we're seeing here with the surface. We'll deal with that later on. And then we're going to add another instruction by going to the left. So again, we're going from road 2 to channel left. So we can say we're going to select that 2D line. So all what I've done is basically made sure that we've joined this line all the way through. What I've done is stop just short of the bell mouth, because the bell mouth generally wants to be modeled independently. And again, we can put in a slope table here. So we can just say the table at chainage 0, the slope is positive 2.5. At chainage 24 rather, it's positive 2.5. And at chainage 34, it's minus 2.5. And we can add that. And we want to say that that is channel left. Add. So we're getting a few funnies here. So the first thing that we want to do is go back into this template here, and we can limit how far it goes off to the left and how far it goes off to the right. So we can, because what's happening here is the road is double backing. So what we're essentially doing is saying to the channel, the instruction is essentially saying that go off to the left hand side, wherever you find that string, add it to the corridor. And when we get to here, it's actually appearing again. It's because it's double backing in itself, and we're just limiting at the road width here. So essentially what we've got now is we've got a full road surface generated extremely quickly just by using the CAD strings to control the road geometry but I've got full control of the grades. And yeah, it's an extremely fast way of building up the road surface that can then be exported to Trimble Access. We've got a slightly more complicated one here, which we can just quickly go through. So again, this is road 1, so we can just say to, we can choose to create the corridor, road 1. We'll come to reference lines later on in another video. We're going to start chainage 0. We're going to choose to do a new definition. This one's a little bit more complex because what we've got is we've got basically the road laybys here. We've got a few bell mouths to cross. And what I've actually done here is I've actually drawn in the lines. So I've offset the line here for a segment and joined it in, because this is the way that the actual camber will work. And I've drawn the line across the laybys because we can see this is the low point. So I've just quickly drawn in these lines, same across the bell mouth here, and I've connected these through. So it's a single line that basically describes the full edge of the road. So you can see that there's one line that basically starts all the way around, and then we've got a second line that basically describes essentially the level channel on the left hand side. I've stopped short of this bell mouth here. The laybys are single lines, so there's just a little bit of prep work here, not an awful lot of prep work, but a little bit. And if we go back to the template that we started, so it's this template 0, and what I'm going to do is going to say that we have a 2D line. Apologies, I'm editing the wrong road. So it's this one here, which didn't have anything in it. And we can say here that we're going to go from there to a 2D line. So the road center to a 2D line, and we can select that, and we can say that this is, and the road camber doesn't change in this road at all. It's consistently falling to the right. So it's minus 2.5, and that will be channel right. And can choose add. Again, don't be distracted by what's happening here. And then what's very nice here is that we don't, even though this is happening at chainage 30, we can still add the instruction to add this line. And when it picks it up at channel 30, it will add it, and it will ignore it when it's not applied. So even though we're adding a template in at chainage 0, we can still add the instruction to catch this string. So we can say from the channel right, we can put in this line string, and we can see that that's falling back in. So that's positive 2.5%. And we can just call that LR for lay-by right and choose add. And if I wanted to just double check what's happening here, I can just skip down to chainage 40. So if I just wheel down to chainage 40, we can just verify that that's doing what we're expecting it to do. And you can see I've actually made a mistake. So I'm just going to go back to this one here, and I'm going to say that that should actually be minus 2.5%. So that's doing exactly what we want to do at this chainage. It's basically falling into the essentially the channel run line that runs all the way through. We can then add another instruction to cover have we got anything else happening on the right hand side? Yes, we've got another string here. So even though again we're at channel 0, chainage 0, we can still add an instruction that will deal with this when it occurs. So we can say that we're going to catch this as a 2D line. We can select the 2D line, and again we can see that that's actually falling back in. So minus 2.5%, and this is lay-by. I think I've actually got that. Yeah, lay-by right, and choose to add that in. We can see it updating the model. We're getting a few errors here, which I'm not going to stress about just now, but we can see if we go to 330, so once again I've got the grade wrong, so it should be falling back in, so it should be positive 2.5%, so it's good, worthwhile to just verify things as you do them. And we can see that's the lay-by falling back into, again, this, if we were to join the gaps between the channel coming through here, then we can see that that's falling as we want it to fall. On the left-hand side, we can now look at, so we can go back and we can say we want to add another instruction, this time from the center line of the road, and we want it to catch this string here. The offset is 2.5% positive, and that will be on channel left. And we need to just select this string, so select it here and choose add. And we can see that coming all the way through here, even though we're at chainage 327 here, we can see it's doing what we want it to do. And there's nothing to be added until here. So again, we can say from the channel right, we want to offset from the channel left. We want to catch this lay-by here. And we want that to be positive 2.5%. And that will be lay-by left, add. And that looks fine. So the reason we're getting all these crossing triangles is similar to the last model, whereby we're essentially telling it to search for that string until it search for the CAD line. And when we're getting to here, it's searching for this CAD line, but it's picking it up in two instances. So if we go back into this template, so we're dealing with road 1 and this template here, we can see that there's a maximum left offset and a maximum right offset. So we can just go in there and actually deal with that and just cut them down. The other thing that we're seeing here is that we're getting some instances here whereby it's coming too far. And it's starting to interface on the left-hand side here again to the CAD string. So this bell mouth is probably easier to model independently. So what we can do is we can we're dealing with road 1 at the moment. And what we can do is we can just choose to create another template. And we're just going to create it where the bell mouth starts at this chainage here. And essentially it's just going to be a null template. So it basically just stops anything happening. And you can see that it basically cuts the template off and tidies up these last remaining issues. So what we essentially have here is modeled a full 3D road based on just the existing CAD lines, and that's just manually typing in the grades. And it's all just in one template assigned from chainage 0.